right, this continues our classwork from this past Tuesday, and we are working on solving systems now. So we're going to do examples 14 and 15 hopefully, and then we'll leave 16 and 17 for the next one. So we're going to solve this system by substitution. Now remember, substitution means that we're going to solve one equation for one of the variables, and we're going to substitute that in as an expression for the other one. So I did this in class where I solved for y, and I did it on the solution key as solving for y. So let's do it differently. Let's solve for x. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract y from both sides here, and I'm going to get x is equal to 9 minus y. Now this is my expression for x, which I'm going to put into this equation. So this says 2 times 9 minus y plus 3y is equal to 5. And now I have an equation in one variable, and I'm going to solve that for the one variable. So I have 18 minus 2y plus 3y is equal to 5. And so simplify first. So I have 18 plus y is equal to 5. And so I'll subtract 18 from both sides, and that'll give me that y is equal to a negative 13. Now once I have what y is equal to, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve for the other variable and find out what it is equal to. Now I can either solve it or put it into this original equation or the other original equation. It is my recommendation you put it back into an original. So let's go ahead and put it in for x plus y. So x plus a negative 13y for y is equal to 9, and that means I have to add 13 to both sides, and when I do that I get x is equal to 22, and that is my x solution. Now remember, solutions of these are ordered pairs, they're points, so I write them as an ordered pair. X equals 22, y equals negative 13, and that's my solution. So final solution. Alright, now moving on to problem number 15. Problem number 15, I'm solving by elimination. So elimination, I'm going to start out by clearing these things of fractions, because we know we don't like to work with fractions. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear my fractions, clear my head, so to speak, right from the get-go. So here's my first equation. I want to get rid of these denominators here and here. So I'm going to multiply by their least common denominator, 12. So 12 there, 12 there, and 12 here, even though there's no fraction. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 2 times x gives me 8x. And then plus 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 3, which is 9, and that's y, equals 2 times 12, which is 24. And then the next thing I can do is I can go ahead and I can clear this second equation. So the second equation looks like 1/2 x plus 9y equals 1. And I'm going to clear this one by multiplying by the least common denominator, which is 2. Remember that we're only looking at denominators. This is a denominator of 1, and so is that. So my least common denominator is 2. And then I cancel, and then I multiply out. And there's no canceling, so I simply multiply out. And finally, there's no canceling, so I just multiply out. And now I have two equations that I can look at, and I want to decide what I want to eliminate. Now in class I eliminated the y's, so I'm going to go ahead and be different. I'm going to eliminate the x's this time. So I'm going to multiply this equation by a negative 8 in order to eliminate those x's. So I'm going to copy my first equation, 8x plus 9y equals 24. And so now I'll multiply. Negative times positive is a negative. 8 times 1 is x. Negative times a positive is a negative. And 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6, so that's 144. And those are y's, equals. And negative times a positive is a negative, and that gives me 16. And so 8x and negative 8x is 0. That's exactly what I wanted to happen, so I'm not going to write anything. And then I'm going to subtract, because one's positive, one's negative, it's going to be a negative, and 144 minus 9. So 144 and then subtract 9. So we have to do some borrowing here, and 14 minus 9, which is 5, 3 minus 0, 1 minus 0, so we have 135y. And then that equals to 24 minus 16, which would be 8. And now I multiply by the reciprocal, which looks like division because it is, on each side here, so that I get the y by itself, and that gives me that y is equal to negative 8 135ths. Now the only problem with that is that I've got a fraction to deal with, and so I'm going to have to plug this back into an original, and I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug it into the second equation still rather than the first one. So we have 1/2 times x plus 9 times negative 8 135ths is equal to 1. And then we have to multiply this out, so we have 1/2 x is plus negative 72 135ths, and that's equal to 1. And so now I'm going to add 72 135ths to both sides. 72 135ths over here. Remember, this here is equal to 135 135ths. And so now I can see that I have 1/2 is x is equal to, and I'm going to add these up, 2 plus 5 is 7, 3 plus 7 is 10, carry the 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, and this is 207, and that's 135. And then we multiply this by 2, and multiply this by 2, and therefore x is equal to, and then we're going to multiply that out and simplify it. So we have 4 and carry the 1, and 2 times 2, which makes 4, and those are 135ths. And the only problem with that is that we have a really nasty fraction that we have to try to find out what the common denominator is. And this is one of those places where it might be really nice in order to just use our calculator. All right, so if we get out our calculator and we put 414 over 135, we will very simply see that this is 46/15. And the other way we could do that is, of course, we could take 135 and we could break this down. We know it's divisible by 5, so 5 will go into 13 2 times, 3 left over, so 7. And then this we know is 9 times 3, and this is 3 times 3. So we could break that down, and then we could also break 414 down, 414 here, broken down, and we know that's divisible by 2, and 2 goes into 4 2 times, and then 7, and then 207, we know that that is going to be divisible by 3, plus 2 plus 3, 7 is divisible by 3, so 3 goes into 26 times, with 2 left over, so that would be 9 times, and 3 also goes in there, 3 times, let's see, 3 goes into there 2 times, and then none left over, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. And so we could also make this look like 3 times 3 times 3 times 5 all over 2 times 3 times 3 times 23. Oops, times 23. And then we could see that we have, let's see, is that, let's see, 6, 3, 16, 2 is 27. Yeah, I believe that's correct. let me just check in my math here really quickly. 9 times 2 times 23 is indeed 414. I put that on the bottom and it should have been on the top. That was what went on there. So this really should be the denominator and this one should be the numerator. So just make sure that you get that part of it, and those canceling there and there, and then the numerator 23 times 2, we get 46 as the numerator, and then the denominator 3 times 5, which gives me 15, and that's the other way that we could see that. But of course the calculator is much easier to do. All right, I'm going to leave the next lecture, the number 16 and 17, to the next video.